In Databank, we have an area called Ad hoc Reports that's located under Contract Data and selection of the Ad hoc radio button under the report type. Once that's clicked, you will be given an option to choose between two URLs. The very first URL that's stating award/IDV information report contains contract data reports that are currently living in FPDS legacy. It's the same data source. The second link is other transaction information report, which is identical to contract data reports in terms of columns and rows, but it has other transaction data information. In order to create your ad hoc report, you select Award IDV information link, and you will be brought into My Reports folder. Usually, this folder would be blank for you. In order to create a report, you will need to click on Create button right under betasem.gov logo and hover over New Report selection, and you will be given two choices. First, I would like to cover Report Builder. Once clicked, you will be prompted with a set of questions. And these set of questions will guide you to shape your ad hoc report. The very first question will be to enter a start date for date signed. And second question will be end date for the date signed. Then you will have the third question and fourth question, which are dealing with last modified date, start dates, and end dates. Once you make a selection between a date signed analysis or last modified date analysis, you need to fill the corresponding end date. What I mean by that, if I make an entry for number 1, such as this one, 1/1/2019, I will be required to make an entry for number 2 question. That will be the end date signed. I will be given a 12-year span from the origination date for date signed. And I can enter up to 1/1/2031 from the given date. So if I have chosen 2008 in here, I will be given an option to enter dates until 1/1/2020, 12-year span. For our example's sake, I'm going to be using first 3 months of 2019. I can either type in the date as I did here, or select the calendar right next to the box and make a selection from the box, such as this one, March. I will highlight this and write 2019 and select the last day of March. So I would cover the first 3 months of, first 3 months of 2019. This will give me my date range for date signed. These questions, number 3 and 4, became optional. I'm going to leave them for our example's sake, but if you like, you can enter additional dates within those dates. If you even last modified that date that you're interested in, you can enter them. But I'm going to leave them blank for our example's sake, as I said. Number 5 will be choose attributes of the report. When we say attributes in our reporting module, we mean the data that we contain the numerical values with. This is where we group by our data or where we order our data by. It's the container of our data. Attributes can be items like contracting department ID, contracting department name, and as you may see from these locations, these business interest or business area locations, you would have other attribute information, such as contract information, such as vendor information, such as vendor socioeconomic information. Also, within this area, you will be able to search for attributes with keywords. By clicking this box, you can enter a keyword such as department and click on the magnifying glass. It will give you the attributes that contain the name department. In order to add department on your report, you either double click on the item, like I did, or you can hold your control key and make multiple selections. Then add them by using the arrow. In order to add more attributes, you can either clear this box and hit enter, and you'll be going back to the business area of interests folders, or you can keep typing keywords and catch information that's relevant to your search. If the vendor of these contracts are women-owned small businesses, or manufacture, place of manufacture. By double-clicking on them, you can add them into your list. Also, if you add anything by mistake, you can remove them one by one, or you can hit Control again and select multiple items and use the arrow key to remove them. Also, we have Add All and Remove All options in here. One more thing to pay attention is the order of items. You can also, by selecting the attribute that's on the selected list, you can move them up and down. That will define the order of attributes within your report. I'm going to leave it as is. Now, number six question would be, choose the metrics of the report. What are metrics? Metrics are aggregatable, divisible, subtractable, numerical values of data. Those are called metrics within our reporting module. Compared to the current FPDS legacy system, we have 5 metrics that we defined. One of them being total contract value. By double-clicking on them, you can add them. For our example's sake, I will add 2 of these metrics. Base and all options value, which is total contract value, and number of actions. And again, you can change the order by selecting them and moving them. And you can remove them as you select. You may drag them out. Or add them back in. Next question will be qualify on any attribute. Basically, in this section, you will be creating a report filter for your report. Independent of what you selected as attributes and metrics, you can enter a where condition, the logic that will filter your data. Irrelevant to what's on the report, you have different hierarchies. 1 dot at the top and 2 dots at the bottom icon defines a hierarchy. These hierarchies are built on the FPDS relationships between attributes. If you drop down in any hierarchy, such as, let's go with this department and agency information, and I go expand that area, and by double clicking on contracting department ID, I will add the condition of contracting department ID to my qualification for an attribute. Once it's on the selected area, I'm given 4 options. Blue options are built-in functions, such as qualify or select. In this case, I'm going to be using qualify. Form is usually ID for our attributes. You should select that. Equals, or I have a bunch of other operators. In this case, I'm going to use equals. And value. I can browse for values. In my case, I know the value that I'm looking for. So I can click on the value area and enter 4700, which is relevant to GSA. By clicking OK, I create my condition. Basically, for all these dates that contain these attributes and these metrics, I'm looking for contracting department ID information, which is equal to 4700. I don't want to display anything other than this department. Now, next area, you can enter multiple conditions here. For now, I'm going to go with one condition. Next area is metric qualification. For the 2 metrics that I have, or the metrics that I don't have on the report, I can add a condition to this report filter in terms of numerical elimination or inclusion. What I mean by that, if I choose total contract value, I will be given an option to choose an operator. And this operator, it can be greater than or greater than or equal to, and many other options. I'm going to be choosing greater than or equal to, and I'll be placing $500,000. Default setting is at level default, and we're going to keep it at this level. For time being, you would like to leave this at default. I would click Save to save my report. As you see, I have all the green check marks next to the prompts that I answered, exception of 3 and 4, which I omit. And I will be prompted to enter a name for my report. Also, I gave a name that's sample, and I can always enter a description for this. And I keep this box checked because I want my report to be kept prompted. So every time I run this report, I can make different selections for the items that I selected. In order to keep the answers default as my initial selection, there is an area. If you expand the advanced options, you will see that area. And Save Report as Prompted is selected. And Filter and Template will be prompted. Radio button is selected. And the checkbox Set the current prompt answers to the default prompt answers is checked. Therefore, I don't need to think what I populated at my previous runtime. And I will click OK. The only option that I would have is Run Newly Saved Report. Once I click, I'll be shown the prompt page one more time because that's what I asked it to do. In this case, I'm given the Run Report button rather than Save. Once clicked, it will run the report against the database, and it will execute the SQL that's generated by the report that I defined. Once executed, the report will display all my attributes in this order that I selected, and also show my metrics. This report contains 7 data rows and 2 columns. 2 data columns refer to metrics columns, according to the business intelligence tool of our reporting module. On the left-hand side, we have all objects. All objects define the objects of our project. That's the entire FPDS. And at the bottom of that screen, we have Report Objects button. If you click, you'll be shown the report objects that make this report as well. This is how you use the report builder in order to generate your ad hoc report.